All right, cool. And all right, so yeah, let's and I'll try to keep the chat. Yeah, Anthony, great, thanks. Yeah, no doubt. We don't look at normally we don't look at the chat on Zoom, but I'll try to keep that up, you guys, and pay attention to if anything comes through. Obviously, I know there's folks in here that aren't in the Discord, so actually, if you guys want real quick, we can run through. I can show you the Discord real quick. You want to do that, Les?
Yeah, let's run through the Discord. I know there's some people in here right now from Twitter.
Yeah.
And just to see, you take a look at what's in there for sure.
Yeah. So I have it on a vertical screen, so hopefully that's not fucking you guys up too much. Actually, here, you know what? I could move it. Let's move it. Tell me if it's hold on. Come on. Is that looking horizontal now?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So anyways, yeah, so we have information, doesn't really matter. We don't have those channels live yet, but yeah, so we got the main market chat, right? This is just pretty simple. This is where we all chat, shoot the shit. Obviously, and during market hours and market days, I should say weekdays, we're obviously talking about it quite a bit. Charts and plays. So this, I guess I should say, and chime in less obviously, but this is all the members lodge. So this whole tab here is basically where members can chat, right? The rest is kind of reserved for myself and Les, as well as some of the mods. Obviously information that people post, like we try to post it down here, but it just keeps it clean without a ton of conversation. But we do have plenty of room for conversation here. So Andrew is big on, he posts a lot of charts in here. This is where we look for people to post plays. We post in here as well. I post a lot of charts, especially stuff that's matters for that day, right?
Yeah,
like this chart, we saw this breakdown, right? This played out fucking great for Andrew that morning, but go ahead.
Yeah, and so in the evenings in our classes, we try to focus on the strategy that we use, which is trading the supply and demand zones. And if you go into the zones down below, the zones, yep, and
right here,
zones and strategy, there's we have some breakdowns of zones in there, some written info, and how color coordinate and just how to look at them. And we are going to be doing a lot more with the zones and strategy. We're going to be making basically short clips going through how to build, trade 5 minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour supply and demand zones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and some of these videos I'm actually going to make public as time goes on here. These are all unlisted, they're really just for the Discord. We have made a couple of them public. I don't know if any of these are public, but I made the TOS one public just recently, where we went through, it was like a two hour conversation with, I think, 3 or 4 of us that used Thinkorswim, and how, each of us set it up, and some of the tips and tricks that we use to navigate through it. So, a lot of that, but I mean, the zone discussion, I think this one we're definitely going to make. This was great. This talked about building the regular 4 hour zones in the first half, and then the second half was all on the supply and demand zones. We actually redid Netflix, and it has respected the zones to a T. I can even show you guys that here once we get out of the Discord. Just things, it's loaded up and packed with info. A lot of these classes are where we do the most, obviously, but let me make sure I sent this to everybody too. Did you get it out to Angela?
Yep, I believe so.
Okay, cool. All right. I know she might be busy right now, but all right. Anyways, just want to make sure, because we've had a few people that have asked, but yeah, so that's the zones. We have trading alpha resources. This is a compilation of just stuff that we have, that I've compiled over the years, stuff that Les puts in here that we think is worth just paying attention to, right? Just a thread on being a more disciplined trader from Traderline, right? It's not just all of our stuff. This is just where we share shit that makes a difference. Has made us better traders. There's a whole bunch of stuff like what the VIX is. Again, this just goes on and on. Options, right? This is all just information stuff, right? We don't touch a ton of this because we basically all we trade is options. So a lot of it goes into the classes and the videos, right? Which are here in the class recordings. you can see we have a ton of class recordings. They just go on and on. We do a lot of classes, actually. It's pretty more than what we expected to do in the beginning, but I think so. We
Yeah.
have some, yeah, go ahead, dude. You're gonna run through some
Yeah,
stuff.
and at the end of the day, when it comes to getting better as a trader and understanding a strategy, it's putting in those hours, and that's where the evening classes come in, because and then trading live comes in, because we're doing them on a regular basis, whether it's say we meet together 3-4 times a week, usually for an hour to 3 hours per time, and you're going through and you're seeing the zone setups over and over and in different scenarios, and then over time now when that transfers over to when markets open, and you've seen some of that, versus you watch a YouTube video, you watch it once or a couple times, but this is ongoing. So it's the consistent time and the meeting ups that I think make a huge difference and help a lot.
And putting it to paper, right? Or putting it to your charts, like actually putting these levels in.
Yes.
Going through it while we're doing the class, even if you rewatch sections of it, the classes do get long, but at the same time, the idea is that you can go back through, and just kind of start doing it, putting it on your charts, because what that does is it allows you to just do the shit in real time. And that's where the intuitive, calls come in, right? You just kind of look at the chart, and it's not a feeling, it's just your experience built up over a long enough period of time, right? And I will say sticking to either one strategy, or maybe you have a combination of like 3, right? Because obviously, like, I understand, like, I use a variation of a couple strategies, I guess, over my career that's really been effective. It's kind of melded or molded into one, I guess you could say. But the thing is focusing on that, right? And that's really where us teaching this out, right, has been so beneficial to us personally, because it's allowed us to really focus and just become, just kind of dead focused on the parts that I know work, that I can teach to people, that Les has made work and fucking has taken, with flying colors, and actually run with it. And it's like, hey, so it's beneficial to everybody. And that's kind of what we try to teach. Like, it's like, hey, if you don't want to put the time into to put the shit on your chart and really focus on it, then, that's fine. That's up to you, of course. But at the same time, like, you're missing out, right? Because it is like you just said, Les, the time that you put into the charts, right, is what pays off in the end. So just real quick, this is the TR charts and plays. Again, this mainly is where we put charts, because what I found is it's better to just put our our plays up here in charts and plays, where everybody can kind of chat about it. But we do have the alerts, right? And we post more than alerts. These are some of the things we talked about. We were on Spaces a lot of time. But looking at premium charts, right? I actually chart the premium a lot of times. This is the ES. Actually, this is a good example. We ran up 1, 2, 3 deviations. We just recorded a video that we will put out to the public on how to set up these standard deviation channels on Thinkorswim. It's a little bit of a process, but it's super simple. It's just repetitive, right? You got to do each half deviation and whole deviation. So, but anyways, you see something like this and it's like, okay, I can see we're extended. I know that we can go a little bit higher. Now, obviously, this was the end of the day. Friday was a little bit of a unique day. Great for the bulls, shitty for us trying to chase the shorts, but it is what it is, right? Anyways, this is alerts. Sigma throws in tons of alerts. We don't always post what we're playing here because some of it happens so fast, but we do have some things on the challenges. Go ahead.
Yeah. When, especially like this past week, because of, how volatile the market's been and choppy, like a lot of the alerts and plays we've been taking as just, we would say it verbally over the mic, like on the live space or in the Zoom.
Yep. Yeah. It's just not, especially if we're on a space, it's hard to do. The expected moves, we talk about this, pretty much every time we're on Spaces. So when we're talking about expected moves, this is something that Jacob puts in the chat. He goes through and makes sure that we have these tickers always each week, right? We have basically the ticker, right? We have the expected move, right? So PLTR sucks, but let's look at Netflix, right? So this past week, obviously I had earnings. The expected move was $30.48. And that's you take that measurement, you add and subtract that from last Friday's close. So at the time, right, that would have put the +1 at 260.48 and the -1 deviation down at 199.58.52. So, you can basically see where, where was price, right? It closed last, 2 Fridays ago, it closed at 230 basically. So, I can just do the math on that, right? So this is the difference between these two numbers is going to be this number doubled basically, because you're +1 -1, right? It's like absolute numbers. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody here. We do a lot of explanations on these. Each week we go through and do the expected moves on at least these guys here. Pretty much Apple. We might do Microsoft, as well. But these are in here. So here's the thing, right? People that get an AMD say AMD rips, right? And it's like, I haven't gone through each week and put AMD in, but it's like, look, here I have the expected move to the upside. I can say, all right, 60.09. What did we do when we got up? We're approaching $60. Maybe I should lock in some profits here because I think we might roll over, or say we've blown through that to the upside. I know that it might act as support as it comes down. So just something that we do put in here. It's nice to have all these. These tend to be the tickers that we trade. I mean, I don't even trade most of these anymore, but you will get into these. Obviously, Snap had earnings, got destroyed. You think it blew through the expected move? It's fucking $2. I forget how much it dropped, but it was rough. But all right. Anything else you want to look at here, man? I think we're good. I'll look at that when we're not.
No, I think that's that was a brief run through of the Discord.
Perfect. All right, guys. So I don't want to bore you too much, but I do want to show the new folks what we're looking at here. So, all right. So what did I say we would look at real quick? We're gonna look at what ticker? Oh, Netflix. Yeah, I want to show you Netflix real quick. So we did these zones, right? And this is what it's done. We did these zones like way back here, right? We did that video at least 2 weeks ago, if not like a month ago. And, so we have these zones minus the pink lines, right? A lot of these, this is weekly levels, and these are our hourly supply and demands, which we will get into next. Do you want to get into that next, Les? Just going over some of the supply and demands, how we build those.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
So just to show you guys, like, this is what we do in the class, right? So now everybody has these zones, and I'll share these on Twitter. But then again, it's nice to have them, we actually explain them and go through how we get, like, how did I get these? We build them with everybody. And then we also did obviously the supply and demand levels. But if you look, we basically have gone, we blew through the zone on earnings. We ended up settling out here. We almost touched this, and we're just playing in between. So when we rocked up, this is where I was a little hesitant on Friday to get in another play. But once we broke above this, I grabbed calls there off of Joseph's recommendation and on the space, and and just caught a nice little bid on that. Obviously that rocked up and just went to the moon. But yeah, no, really cool. Let's go over here to a blank chart. You can do our normal. That's normally blank. All right. You want to mess with this here? We can start, maybe just look for some levels. I think let's start with the 4 hour, because this is going to be pertinent to what we're seeing in the market.
Yeah, I think what I wanted to go over, and I went over it this morning with Andrew and James and Dale. So yeah, if you go to the 4 hour, if you go to the where your cursor is, if you go to your left, you see that 4 hour supply there. Yeah. So this is actually key for what's happening in the for next week, because so if you want to create a 4 hour supply off that.
Yeah. So what we're looking for when we look for supply, right, guys, is we're looking at current price, right? And we're looking for a bullish candle. Supply is always going to be a bullish candle. Okay. Over, above price, right? So we see where price is at, and I'm always using the crosshairs on the cursor. And the other thing is we always have the magnet turned on here, right? So we actually have the weak magnet. And what that does is when I click on a drawing, right, which is, we have the quick drawings here, obviously, you can get it up here as well. But for anybody that doesn't know, if you come down and you highlight these stars, see how the star appears? If you highlight that, it's going to throw it on a quick bar here. So it's worth everybody, in my opinion, putting. But anyways, we use the magnets because we're snapping. What we're trying to do is snap to here. We're trying to snap to the levels, right?
This morning I started over on a blank chart too, and I forgot to use the magnet, and I'm like attaching it, and it'll like attach to like the bottom of the wick, and it'll be off by a little bit, and then it was a pain in the ass until I realized that.
That's frustrating. I just realized I turned it off there. So now it's back on, and now you can see how it's snapping, right? And it'll snap to the wicks as well, but we want the bodies when we're building these supply and demands. Obviously, you know, it's nice to be able to snap to the wick and see what matches, but what we're looking for with supply, I mean, it's just the inverse with demand, is we're looking for a bullish candle that the body, if you drew a line across on the body, right, drew a box, it basically is sitting above price, and you can see how price has rejected it. So the first thing that comes to mind is this guy here, right? But when I look over, I say, okay, what's going on? You know, I see more above price here, right? And the bottom line is, if you come to this one, all right, and you snap a line on it, and you always see them in yellow when it's 4 hour, right? You can see how the top of that's going to be our resistance level for this supply zone. I mean, it literally comes right across, intersects here. So let's throw one on the bottom on the opening price, right? So that's going to be what we call our supply level. But again, this is a supply zone here, and you can see how prices reacted to this, right? And let's put a box there just for shits and giggles. But all right, so just real quick before we get into the actual market overview, you know, once we've created this, right, and I can say, okay, what's the next bullish candle above price, above this candle? Well, it's way up here, right? And you get into kind of maybe this guy, you know, maybe these up here, but the bottom line is that this doesn't even wick up to the bodies of anything up here. So I know that that's going to be a separate supply zone. So what we care about is here, and you can see through confirmation where we created this, right? We came down, we closed underneath it here. We basically, this has created this supply zone, right? We came up on this candle. I'll try to stay off the side of it. We wicked up into it, right? Price got pushed back down, tells you there's sellers here, right? We had this bullish candle. These are 4 hour candles too. So these are half sessions. So, you know, we pushed up here. We couldn't even get close to it, and we sold off. Come back in, we test the supply, sell off, try to test it again. Looks like the bulls are going to make it. But again, we get multiple closes inside, right? And after you've had multiple 4 hour closes inside, eventually your buyers are going to get worn out. This is profit taking. You can call it whatever you want. You can look at gamma. You can look at a lot of different variables that will help guide you, right? But the bottom line is that inside the supply zone, sellers are winning. And again, you see it start to sell off. We get a close underneath, and that's it. Once you get that close underneath, we have 2 more 4 hour sessions that tried. We get another bearish close underneath. Again, we do this a lot on the 5 minute, but looking at this overall, let's see, we opened up 9 a.m. This would have been our opening candle, right? So by the time we wick down and we close this at, this is the futures, so it closes at 1 p.m. Eastern time. That afternoon, what a great trade, right? Again, you test this and boom, drop.
Just to go back a little bit, so you see our first attempt to test the supply
right back here, right? Or you mean
here? Yeah. So you see how it turns around in the middle of the zone there. It doesn't really get back up. So, you know, if you go to a 1 hour, out, you'll see that there's actually a 1 hour supply within this zone coming off the same candle.
Right.
So remember that's a 4 hour candle. So if you take the 1 hour candle up top.
Yeah. So this is a 1 hour candle, and you're looking above price again, right? So let me just snap the lines on this, but keep talking, dude. You're good.
Yeah. So we push up, and that's actually what we reject off the, that 1 hour supply within the 4 hour supply. And then that's what brings us back down there.
And you'll actually see us do shit like that where it's a dotted line, right? And then you can actually do something like this. Let's say we make it blue, whatever. I always send backwards a little bit, and look how perfect this is, right? So that's why it's fractal. No, and I just want to illustrate it because you explained it perfect. It's just fractal, right? So inside this 4 hour, we can keep going down on time frames and find what we need, right? So even when we push back into this, we start to wick above it. But what we're waiting for is, if we're waiting for an hourly close, right, to show us that we're getting an hourly close above this 3806, right, as well as a 4 hour close. But because we now know that there's an hourly supply right inside of this 4 hour supply, and it's right at the top, right, matches up perfectly. Now we only have to wait for an hourly close. So we get a signal that we can actually trade from on a more recent basis, right? Especially being day traders and short-term swing traders, you want to get the fastest signal as possible. So multiple 1 hour closes that can't seem to get up above, this is a clear sign to me that you have at least a higher probability, right? The greatest probability is that we're going to sell back off. Now, if the way that signal would change in my mind is there's a few things we could talk about here, how we retest this hourly supply, and that's really your best entry here. But the thing is that if you got an hourly close above this 3806, so above this dotted blue and yellow line, that means now we have a long signal, right? Now we see that we've got an hourly close above it, and that's why we use the bodies of these candles for whatever the reason is, right? And there's a lot of reasoning that can go into this. The bottom line is that how do we structure a trade and how do we get the appropriate signal to go long or short, right? Well, we need an hourly close. Or we need a candle close, whether it's 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, weekly, it doesn't matter, right? We need that candle to close. Then we get our definite signal, right? So how do you do that? If you're looking at the closes, then what we want to use are not the wicks. We want to use the open and the closing price for our zones. So it's the same thing for demand. It would just be the inverse, and we wouldn't use bullish candles. We'd be using bearish candles, red candles. Right. So but that's why, I mean, people can debate why that works. The reality is it does work. It does allow us to structure the trade. And that is super important when it comes to, how we get our signals throughout the day. Right. And just keep in mind, the larger the time frame, the more confident the signal is, right? Because 5 minute candles, as well as they work, and they do work really well. We use them constantly. You do see times where you get that close and it doesn't work. Yeah, Angela, I just saw your question here. Are they Heikin-Ashi candles? No, they're not. So we build the zones off the regular candles. And even if you use Heikin-Ashis, right, you can still use those. But what I would say is that what you're looking for the signal, you want to build the zones off of the regular ones, right? Because when the Heikin-Ashis don't give you the same. See how the candle like close up here on the hourly isn't you're not getting the same candles, right? So now granted, you still wouldn't have gotten the signal here, but this strategy is definitely built off the regular candles. But then once you're in the trade, right? Once you're in this down, say you got short here, you can obviously switch to these, and use these to trade to the downside. So go ahead, man, because you used to use them, bro.
Yeah. I was just gonna say exactly what you said. You don't want to build. You could trade the trend on the Heikin-Ashi, but you don't want to build the zone on it. And for two reasons. One, it's gonna the colors aren't the same. Like a red candle and a green candle, they change in the Heikin-Ashis. In the bodies, I think, are affected as well, right? The body.
Yeah, the bodies are, and we see that with how this hourly supply right here, where the blue box is built around, is the bodies of this hourly candle. Well, right. When we switch to the Heikin-Ashis, see how it changes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you were trying to build on there, it would throw you off. Even like watching the closes, I would still want to switch back to the regular candle to see if you got the close on the bigger time frames at least.
Yep. But I mean, and again, this is easy, right? You go to this time frame, again, you're looking for these little stars, right? So I have the Heikin-Ashi just because for a while there, Les and I were jumping back and forth trying to, because he was like, hey, I use these candles. I know a couple other traders that I respect highly. They use these and they're definitely profitable. So I don't have any issue with them, but I know from what we've had from our testing and experience, basically you want to build these and get your signals off of the regular candles, right? And then if you're comfortable trading those Heikin-Ashis, go for it. So
yeah. And if you want to go back to the 4 hour.
Yeah, I want to talk about no, you're good.
And
man.
so if you just like, when it comes to identifying the supply, I know like hindsight is 2020. You can see we've come up to that supply, we reject. Now we close Friday just underneath it. So, and I'm pretty sure the move, I was going over this with James in the Discord, the move from the low at 8 a.m. on Friday to the high, it's close to 3%. And now, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a retracement it's on a 1 hour. There's a 1 hour demand on this big push up on Friday. So you see that 1 hour demand there
here
in the middle.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. And futures. These are the futures. they open up 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Sunday. So I wouldn't be surprised like if we even give back some of the move and we find a support around that 1 hour demand and push up from there or whatever. But you know, it's such a big move on Friday. And if you look at the move, so if you go back to the Friday before that, we had a big move again. So if you go to last Friday, right there, yeah, and the percentage move. So
yeah,
there's a tool actually on your toolbar, Alex.
Yeah,
if you go on your left side,
yeah,
it looks at percentage move. Yeah, so if you look at the percentage move, it was similar, right?
3.5% basically, right?
Yeah,
for that, and then let's see what so 9 a.m. is here. So, and we had 3.24%. So we had basically 3.5% and 3.25% move. These people, I mean, look, this rally was great, you guys. I just want to show you, I guess, the whole point of like what the supply represents. And you don't even have to, it doesn't even matter, like, even if you don't use these supplies, right? Like exactly how we do. This is something that you want to be aware of, in my opinion, is that we have a fuckload of a volatility box right here, right? This is our range. We're going from, actually it literally goes lower, basically to fit, 3,500 up to 3,800, right? It's a 300 point fucking volatility box. And we're just bouncing back and forth in it. So until we break above that 3,800, and we talked about this this week in the space a little bit. We were talking about like basically over 3,800. That's where I think Jupiter came in and was asking, he was saying, he's thinking maybe 3,900, which, again, I'm not against that. I just, the way I look at this is I'm like, look, until we get above 3,800 and we have to have a little momentum that kicks us out from that. And then if we come back down and try to retest it and we hold, that's where I'll be looking for some longs, right? Because we're now in a Fed blackout period up to the next meeting again. I think that it starts this week, whatever the case is. So, I mean, look, we could definitely rally, but I'm not getting excited about this until we're over 38, really 38.06, right? I want to see an hourly close, and really I want to see a 4-hour close over this, right? And this is on the futures. SPX will look a little bit different, but again, SPX misses a lot of this data, and that's why I don't chart. Right? You can chart ES. It's the same price action. The prices are going to be a little bit different, right? But 3,800 is where this is where you really want to watch out, in my opinion. Until we get a close above that, this is short the pops, right? We come in here and we keep closing like we just saw. Let me get rid of this, but that volatility box, that's what you want to pay attention to. Now it's a huge range that we can make a ton of money in, right? In and out throughout the day. So, I mean, definitely just something to pay attention to. I thought we were going to come down a little bit more before we retraced back up. This caught me off guard, but I still made money on Friday, right? I mean, it was still a good day. Like, it ended up being a decent day. Thursday was better. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, this was still manageable, right? Because we did have some moves inside of this, but it looks better on the 1 hour. But here's the thing: if we start coming up into this, into this blue box again, like what we saw up over here, right? And we start doing this shit where we come up and we close underneath, especially if we start doing this early morning, right? Let's say we open up. I do agree with what you're saying, Les, that I would expect more of a pullback. But let's just say they open up bullish and we push up here, right? And we're tapping off of this. And then we get to open and we have yet to get even an hourly close above this 37.96 spot 5. That to me, like I'm going to look at that as a short, right? Maybe I'll wait till 10 a.m. Eastern time, let that first morning volatility shake out. But if we can't get a close back up over this shit, this is a short. Even if we come up to 37.69 and kind of bounce around, right? To me, that's another clear indication. I mean, look, if you look here, there is there's some hourly levels inside of here that you could say like, hey, here's another hourly supply, right? And then you have this little guy here. Obviously, the main hourly supply that I would recommend everybody pays attention to is up here. But if you know our strategy, especially for folks that are in the Discord that have been with us, and are learning this shit, that you can start looking up. You look at the top of this wick, you look to the left, right? It's inside this body, this wick's up. You see this little guy right here, basically, right? So when you're looking at bullish candles, and I know this won't make sense for everybody, but again, that's why we have the Discord. I mean, we're happy to explain, answer questions, shit like that. And you guys can unmute, by the way. Obviously
Yeah,
keep it civil, but you guys can unmute and ask questions. Like this isn't just a, feel free to unmute and ask questions.
Hey, Alex, look at October 18th. October 18th, there's a 1 hour there.
Where is that?
It's to your right. Corey's.
Oh, hold on. What did I do? Just fucking blow by it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's more towards where we are currently. Just grab it, go right. Right there where we
yeah,
come
no,
to that yellow zone. Yeah, so we're actually inside of a 1 hour supply right now, right?
Yeah, well, not really though, because if you look where this wicks up to, dude, look to your left, right? Like look over here. You see how it's inside this guy? Which is really up inside this guy. I would say that this narrow, these two blue lines would be your main supply. But on the 4 hour, it's a little more interesting though, because the 4 hour is not, see, this is more of a 4 hour resistance, just because of the way that we do it, right? The way that we build these for people that don't.
I want you to do something for everybody listening. Go back to the 1 hour and explain. See how I was trying to say, oh, we're in this 1 hour zone. I want you to explain why. See, I was looking at that October 18th 1 hour. Why we're not inside that 1 hour zone, and why it's really coming off the 1 hour zone within that 4 hour.
Yeah.
And the wicks.
So what I'll do just to explain it is let's just do this. We'll use horizontal lines. So I'll snap a line to that. I'm going to make it dash so you guys can see it. So imagine that's my cursor, right? So I snap a line to the closing price of this bullish candle, because that would make sense. Like here's an hourly resistance, right? And you can see and I'm not saying this level doesn't matter, but as far as the one that we really want to get a signal for. So what we do is we look to the left, right? And you can use your cursor for this, but obviously let's just use the dotted line. And we come over here and we see this bullish candle, right? That's above price. We see this bullish candle and we say, okay, if you snap a line now, let's just do this. So I guess it makes sense. This is what's going through my head, right? I'm like, okay, I'm going to snap lines to the body, right? And okay, so now does this candle push up into that, right? Yes, it does, right? Both of these, if this was my supply zone, I'd say, okay, look, both times we pushed up here, we couldn't close above the top, which is our resistance, and we rejected and sold off, right? So now what I do is I take, let's say I take this dotted line, and what I want to look for is where's this wick up to, okay? And I see, okay, that's where that one wicks, right? To that dotted white line. And I say, okay, so that actually is wicking up into this. So there's two things here, right? This, I'm not saying this doesn't matter. This to me makes more sense than this here, just because we had it tested here, right?
Right.
And then we tested it here and here, and we almost tested it here. So this actually makes sense to me, because as you get close to these supply zones, you'll see the sellers start to step in, and not just that, you'll see profits start to be taken. So when you actually look at the raw data, right, a lot of times you can look back on it, you'll actually see that profits are starting to be taken coming into here. Sellers started stepping in. Maybe they see that profit taking and the algos start to step in harder. I think they watch these levels just because they make sense from a price action standpoint. But bottom line is that this wicks up, okay, into this. So now I can say, okay, where does this one wick up to, right? Well, it doesn't wick up into the body of the next bullish candle would be this guy up here. And yeah, the wick wicks down, but again, I'm looking, I don't see any body of a green candle here. So that tells me that my main supply is right here on this one, right? Now, this I'll leave here just because I like the way the price action is hitting it. But in my mind, what I want to keep in check is that if I see price, if an hourly close pushes up above here, I'm still really waiting for this, this smaller zone up here, this 37.72.6 up to 37.75. And it's funny how it's 37.75, right? Like that, the top resistance end of the road here. I don't care if we wick up above it. I'm waiting, as long as we, what we're looking for is an hourly close above this level, right? I know that that's my main zone that I could see it roll back over. Now, if I see a close, if I see it continuing to struggle inside this zone here, I'll play that, right, in real time. I don't want to discount this, right? But that's anyways, to answer your question, right? Not get too over complicated here. The reason I wouldn't choose this October 18th is because when you come over here, you see it's inside the body of this candle, right? And when I follow that wick up, I see it's really, this candle is what's dominating everything.
Right. And when I said October 18th, that's just what I saw at first glance. I went back to my chart and I had it coming off that candle. You have it coming to there. The thing is, my issue with it is when we're in, when we're trading and the market's open, for me to mental note that okay, we're coming up off that 37.72 spot 6 to 37.75. I still want to see where this candle below, because it's acknowledged over here, right? Yeah. So I still want to see that. So how do you go about you just
I would leave it. I would leave it. Yeah, I would leave it like this. The other thing I do that you guys will see me do, I don't do this myself a lot of times, but I'll literally do this, right? I'll be like 1 hour supply. And I'll come up and I'll label these fuckers, right? And I'll come in and I'll just be like, you'll see this on the charts I post because I want it to make sense for people. And I'll put 1 hour res, right? Sometimes I'll put this down in the bottom. So now I know that 1 hour supply, 1 hour res. Now, the other thing you could do is add a rectangle to this. But the only issue with that is that when you get down on the 5 minute, it starts to get really fucking cloudy, which I don't prefer. In a lot of the 5 minute levels, I wouldn't even put in real time if I wasn't trading with other people that were watching the charts, just because I see them, right? But you can't trade on the 5 minute and see this hourly zone. So I 100% agree with you, Les. Like, you want to have it. So maybe I would do it like this then. I'd have that labeled and then I would do this right here, right? And I always send backward, and that way the candles stay on top if you wonder what I'm doing. But now if we go to the 5 minute, we can see right over here, that this is what we're dealing with, right? We can see that, okay, I know that, okay, this is the zone. This is an hourly supply zone that I want to kind of watch, right? And we know, even though we watch the 5 minute candles, we're watching the hourly, we know what time these candles are closing, right? So let's say you had this here, and this is why this was tricky. I'm not going to lie. This was a squeeze. And I even, I mean, Les, I texted you, right? And I was like, fucking buy calls, like, buy SPX calls. What was the text? Let me find it. I mean, and look, guys, this is not something I would put in the chat or even probably say, because it's a dick, if it goes against you, you're getting fucked. But what did
we were squeezing. We squeezed.
Yeah. I said, I'm like, it's squeezing, buy calls. Where was it? Hold on. I want to find it because it was fucking perfect.
I grabbed some like cheap ass buy calls and ran them up from like 70 cents to like over $1.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it. It was hold on. There's a lot of shit here. We chatted quite a bit, obviously Friday, but okay, yeah, I texted you at 3:14. I said, run calls into close, bro. Small, but don't wait. And that was it. I was like, fuckers are about to break the bank, because you could see it was squeezing, right? So that was the text I sent them. And because as much as this didn't make any sense, right? And you gotta remember, this is a blank chart. Our other charts have lots of zones and shit in here. But the thing is, we knew we were hitting constantly, right? Hitting resistance here. And the other thing was on Discord, we were up at that third or that second or third deviation, right? That we were just talking about on the standard deviation channel. And that, so I'm like, we are way extended. But the thing is, you just see this price action. I started getting alerts that we were pushing up through. It just didn't, I don't know. It is what it is, but you could tell it was running. So yeah, you ended up making out on what, like, I forget what you said. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was good percentage wise, right?
Yeah. I just put a little bit in for sure. It was good though. It started.
Where was it? It was I'm sorry, it was this run, not this here, guys. It was this run coming up, and we had resistance. It was from 3:15 was when I texted you. So it was when we broke. Yeah, it was right here. It was after we broke through this fucking. So we know that there's sorry, I'm on the 1 minute, but we know there's 5 minute supply here, right? And you guys can see how we broke. Let's just throw this on. This may not trade in the 5 minute chart, and you're using just 5 minute supply and demand, right? And where's the other one, right? Yeah, we actually closed above that there. Yeah, that's it, right? So this was our new 5-minute supply right here. That's the resistance line, right? This would be your supply, and this is your 5-minute zone, right? So this is your, after this is created, you can say, okay, this is my 5-minute supply. And when I look back left, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the top of the wick of that candle, and I look and I say, is it hitting the body of another green candle? And it's not, it's hitting inside of these, but that doesn't matter because the most recent, right, in this line would be this little doji up here that you guys probably can't even see if you're looking at your phone. But anyways, the point is that we know that this is our 5-minute supply. And look what we do, right? Price, shoots down, it closes. As soon as we close here, we know this is our 5-minute supply. What do? Price pushes up, tries to test it, rejects, right? We sit here, we chop around, we come up, it's 230 now, we get up inside of it, pull back and reject. This is why, I mean, I was in another group that I chat with a couple guys, and they were getting destroyed because everybody, this looks like put action, rejection. We get close, we reject. We get a close way down here, right? We get this boost that pushes us up. And what do? We close underneath it. So then we open here and we try to push down. And this is where shit changed, right? We slam up through. And as soon as you get this close here, guys, okay, so this happened right at, this is, 3 p.m. So this is from 3 to 3:04 and, 59 seconds, right? So this is from 3 to 3:05, this candle. We close above. So at 3:05, we see that we close here. We open in this candle right here, try to push up, push down, whatever. You close above it again, right? We have our signal here. This is one entry. You even get a second entry here, right? Because now this supply zone has been broken through and we get the retest. This is what you hear us talk about with the retest. You get the retest of old supply now acting as demand, old resistance now acting as support, right? That's something we've all heard, very basic. And that's what happens. It flipped once you get this close through. But look, you didn't get a flip down here. Once you get this candle close above this, the body of this candle, which is your supply candle, for whatever reason you guys want to believe it is, it is. We see this constantly, right? You get this fucking, now you have the reversal, boom, boom, beautiful entry, bam, right up to the top, right? How many points was that? Let's say you got this entry here, you ran it up, you close there. You get a 15-point move on SPX on 0 DTEs end of day. You grab the 3750s, they go from probably friggin' $1.50 to fucking $7 here or something. So sorry, I get a little excited when I see this shit work out. I wasn't even trading. I literally just grabbed them from my phone because my mom's been in town. So we've been like, I busted out early on Friday, obviously, and went and did some family shit. So, grandma's been in town, so we're trying to do shit with the kids. But I saw this, I got the alerts, and I'm like, dude, buy calls, just go, because something changed, right? That was the squeeze. So it's worth. All right, what else should you want to share your screen? Go over a couple things, bro. I mean, I don't want to hog it the whole time.
I was gonna do, yeah. I'll go over the same price range, but I've got some different candles and stuff we can look at.
Let's do it. Perfect. All right, cool. That'll give me a break from jabbing my mouth off. You guys, and again, unmute yourself and ask questions if you have any questions. We're happy to answer stuff, but when this is all it is, right? Maybe do some demand too. So they can see that it's really just the same. It's just the inverse. But when you do this enough, it doesn't have to work every time, but when it's working like 8 out of 10 times or 7 out of 10 times, and you know how to structure a trade around it, this becomes very lethal in real time. So, but you got to be quick too. So anyways, let me save that and then I'll stop sharing and you're good to go. Boom.
So one thing I noticed, I'll start in a 4-hour just because I noticed something on your chart. Where were we?
You're in. We had our supply.
Oh, I'm on the NASDAQ. My bad. Yeah,
that's why it looks different. No.
Yeah, I'm just gonna create a new one because I got a bunch of shit going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back where we have that same 4-hour supply. So one thing I noticed is like, we focus on this 4-hour supply, but we do come down. So I want to walk through some of this price action here. So why we look at this candle for the supply? So we see we dropped down, and then we made an attempt to push up. Well, we did push up, but buyers could only push up. They push price up here, the candle closed here. That tells you that the sellers overpowered the buyers at this price, and then we drop. So you see here on this candle, it wicks up, and then it closes below it. That tells you that was an attempt to push above it. Boom, the sellers are still strong there. We close then the following candle below the zone, and then we wick back into it, and then we drop again. So when looking for supply, we're looking at the highest green candle, followed by a downside move or a red candle, right? Like if this candle was followed by another green candle, this candle would be supply. And if the next green candle was the highest point in that upside move, that would be supply. So, looking at this, why this isn't supply is I'm seeing it wicked up to this supply zone and got rejected off it. So it's a continuation of what's happening here.
Yeah.
But now we come down to here. You see this candle, it's not interacting with anything. We go all the way left just briefly. Maybe we could find something.
Well, when you're creating supply, you're not even going to worry about it. But demand wise, yeah. If you want to look at demand and see why we bounced there. That's a perfect example of demand.
Oh, here maybe?
No. Explain why you just put that yellow line there, because that is demand, and you can see how we actually bounced. If you took the short off of that, right? Yeah, once that supply zone was created, that 4-hour, if you took the short and say you took a swing trade off of it, that's why this strategy works, whether you're day trading, swing trading. You can literally do this on the weekly and take long-term swing trades and be profitable, because it's just the way the price action works. But yeah, where would your target be once you took that short, right? On that retest of the supply zone, where's your target going to be, right? Well, why does this make sense? And you can explain it, Les, but we know this demand zone is here, and that's why it would be our target. And look where we bounce.
Yeah.
Look where the first time we bounce is, right?
Exactly. So, we get the downside move, and we close inside of this. We wick down through, we close inside of it, wick down through, close above it. So we close above it. This supply, this demand is still here because we close above it. But what I see is it also formed a supply off of it.
Right. Well, and as soon as you get that next candle after that bullish candle, you get that bearish candle that closes below the support level, the bottom of that demand zone.
My bad. It is gone. You're right. Yeah,
right. It's gone. Poof. And now you can look at supply, because now you know that now price is underneath, right? So you're looking higher for supply compared to before, when all we had that supply zone up top created. We were looking below for targets, right? So when we're looking below price, you're looking for demand zones. Makes sense, right? Your price would be selling off to the downside. You're looking to see where the buyer's going to step in. And that's all this game is, right? We just want to know, for day trades or swing trades, if you're a trader and not an investor, you want to know where the fucking buyer's going to step in and where the seller's going to step in. And that's all this is.
And so it was this red candle that invalidated the demand from back here. But even if it held it, and this candle was above the supply zone or the demand zone, this would still be supply, right?
Yeah, it would hold. Yeah, it only becomes supply once price closes below that candle. So it's a little tricky, but you wouldn't have them once. In real time, if you played the candles in real time, right? If all you had was, say, when we created that first supply zone up top, right? So that's all you have is price there. You come down, you get the retest, you take the short, okay? You trade it down to that demand zone, you get out. Now you bounce, you've closed that green candle, right? Now you get a sell-off, okay? And it comes down, closes below the demand zone. So the demand is gone, and now you're looking for price above. You immediately get rid of the demand zone and you put that fucking supply zone in, because now price is under it. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like,
yes. So you see how this candle initially started off as so what made this candle supply is that it was the it was the candle that attempted to change trend, right? It was a green candle and in a downward trend that tried to push up, and we see it was so that's where it tried to push up, but it couldn't get above this point because sellers were too strong there. And then you see on this candle right here, it starts off by trying to push out of it, right? And then boom, it comes down, and that's when it validates this. So this is gone. And now we have this supply right here. The supply zone. So now you remember these are 4-hour candles. So each 2 candles represent a day of price action. The market open. So there's 24 hours in a day, obviously. And so if you have 8 hours of market open, that's 16 hours of aftermarket, right? Where the futures are still going. So if you think about it, 2 out of every 6 4-hour candles were created during market open, whereas you have either 4 out of the 6 are created aftermarket. And that's why we watch futures, because a lot of these levels that are created in the after hours are still relevant to when markets open. So we're pushing here. They come down. We drop down. The supply is created. We wick up into it, fail. We push up, try to get above supply, fail. We close inside it again, try to push above, fail. Now we're hanging out below the supply. We try again, push above it, fail, close inside. And then we get this doji looking candle. I don't know if this is technically considered a doji because it has somewhat of a body. Alex, maybe if you want to chime in.
No, that's a doji. Yeah, doji will have a body, a thin norm. I don't know. I mean, look, it's a thin body with equal wicks on either side is what I call a doji. I mean, again, we've said this in prior classes. So, but for anybody that hasn't been here, I respect candle patterns, but I also am not, I'm not basing my strategy off candle patterns. Right. So when we say doji, it just means that little fucking candle, but it does represent indecisiveness, right? It tells you there's a struggle there. And on a 4-hour basis, because that's a 4-hour time frame, that's a real struggle, right? And look where it struggled at. It struggled right near the top of that supply zone. And what happens? We fucking sell off the next candle.
Boom.
Yep.
Yeah. So you could have looked at any of these fails and they played the downside. Remember, these are 4-hour candles. So if you just take this one from 37.13 to 36.50, that's a freaking what is that, 60 70 point move.
Yeah, and you'll find hourly and 5-minute zones inside of all these. So the thing is, these bigger time frames you can either play swings on these bigger time frames, perfectly acceptable, and
oh my god,
and and profitable. The thing to keep in mind is that as you zoom in right on the time frames, you can actually find levels inside of this that will then it'll just basically it verifies, and it helps what am I trying to say, or not verify, but it just it compounds your confidence, I guess, right? Helps you build confidence. So
yeah, no, definitely. So we roll over. I just want to check some off this demand quick. I want to see if this demand is based off anything. So we wick down to something down here. Now this looks like a freaking field. I personally, I don't know if I'll be looking this far back. I know
not on a 4-hour. I mean, yeah, you could do a 4-hour. So see where the demand is right there.
Right
here?
Here.
Right there. That's it. Yeah, because look where it's the lowest. The close the close of that candle, right? Exactly, is the lowest as far as the most recent. And look what happens. Let's see. You can tell that's demand because of that retest there and that retest there. Exactly, dude. So I mean, and again, you don't have to do this, but then again, if you're wondering why, if you're looking for targets, you guys, and you have enough time ahead of time, this is where this, putting in the time before and after market hours, this shit will pay you. This will give you targets that'll allow you to, to exit at the right time instead of just, wondering how far down. We have weekly demand down here that we've hit as well. We'll talk about. I mean, I've tweeted it out, but last week, but we've been bouncing off weekly demand perfectly and closing above it. So it's not surprising to see last week push. So,
I mean, keep in mind this is a 9 a.m. candle, but I mean, if you're looking at saying our hourly levels, like hourly candles, you know, the there's 16 other hours in the day, so there's 16 other 1 hour candles in a 24-hour period that are created when the market's closed. So if you're not taking into account any of that data, these are all receipts, then
No,
you're
yeah.
doing yourself a disservice.
A disservice. And listen, the way I've always had it, I had it explained to me from my mentor back in the day, dude, and I've explained it to people is that, and I think it's the best explanation, right? And the thing is that in order to move price on the S&P, right, to where you see it in the candles, it requires still a significant amount of capital, right? And if it's enough to move price in after hours, which obviously isn't as much as it takes to move it in, in open hours, cash open hours. But the thing is, if it's enough money to move and make a level on the after hours, then it's enough for me to pay attention to it, right? Because it's a significant amount of capital. Right. So even though it's not proportionally, right, it's not the same. The thing is, it is significant enough. And look where we base out, right? I mean, look where we bounce off of. We literally get that rip out of nowhere, right? If you didn't have this 4-hour zone here, dude, you would be like, why did we get that rally off the bottom there?
No,
right?
you know what? This morning I didn't do that, and I just did now, and now that makes sense. You see, so we wick down, and that's what pushes us up. And that zone is created. I don't know how many months back, but it's quite a ways back. But yeah, that's what when we push up, we invalidate this. Boom.
And you eventually break through it. And I mean, look, once it's invalidated, okay, go down to the next level, right? That's why you see, like, you'll see me post charts, and I know Les, you probably do too. I know I post more charts than you do. But the thing is, like, especially on Twitter, but the thing is, you'll see a bunch of levels. There's reasons for that, right? Because we don't know where price is going to go. But if I'm in a play, if I start to see signals like this, it'll give us, it gives us an indication. It's like, hey, maybe price is going to turn around here. And the beautiful thing is you can trade the futures. Anybody that trades futures, maybe you don't trade equities, right? In the contracts, you can trade futures off of this. We have a couple people in the chat that trade the Oanda SPX 500 USD through Oanda, right? Which is an FX platform. They trade that pair. And, and he's been doing really well with it, it sounds like. So I think that's Brian, right? Or Alan, I forget which one, but anyways,
I forget too.
Yeah,
but no, you're right. I do need to start posting more, and now that I'm doing more one-on-ones with people and walking through this, and it's making sense of them explaining, I'll definitely start doing that. So why we know to look back here and not see how we have this 4-hour supply here. I'm still going to put it in, even though we don't really acknowledge it. We'll wick up to it and just keep on blasting. Yep. But why I know to look back here and not here. So looking back here, we know there's no supply or any other level or candle that this is coming off of. This was just created right here. Whereas with this, it's open space, so there's nothing else to reference back. So we know it's most likely going to be coming off of a different demand. But sometimes if say if there is price over here and it's not coming up or anything, then it just means that's where buyers stepped in. Like that's where they came in.
And it's where if you were in a short, I mean, if you're an institution or an algo that can analyze this information, especially an algo, right? Or you have a team of professionals, right? I mean, we're trading against, institutions, and companies that have, literally multiple teams of professional traders who trade supply and demand, right? And I mean, they're looking at this shit, analyzing it, they're sharing ideas, they're sharing levels. And I mean, that's why you'll see profits starting to get taken on that big short. As we came down, right, you start to see things get taken. We knew there was a demand up higher, but then again, like, look at all the chop as you get down to that longer term level, so I don't know. I value any level that makes sense. If it follows the rules of how we get these supply and demands, right, it more times than not, it works out, especially the first time. And that's all we care about, right? We want to be able to get in and out of a trade. And then once that's done, we can reassess, let price kind of balance out, look for the next entry that follows the guidelines, basically, right?
No, 100%. You said it. Okay, so back to this with the demand here. I want to scope out again here. and just see if this demand's coming off anything. The same thing. No, looking at this, I would say it's coming from the inside of this demand zone, right here.
Yeah.
Now, Alex, if this is coming from back in November, so if we don't already have, like I'm not gonna have this this zone put in from November, right? Because it just like looking at it, I guess like I wouldn't be acknowledging this zone until I saw this created. I would be like, okay, where's it coming from?
Not necessarily. I mean, so look, but think about that though, right? If you didn't know price, say price came down, bounced off that first one, and you see price, these are 4-hour candles start to break through that demand, right? That you just deleted there. Then now you want to look for the next one, right? So you go back in time and you say, okay, what's underneath it? And maybe you do like when you created that demand that we see right there on the bottom, I actually looked underneath it and I can see the next demand underneath that as well, because I can see that in the candles, right? So you'd have to go back to, but that's how you do it in real time. No, you can definitely find these ahead of time. Now, the question is, how far do you want to go? You want to know how to do this in real time so that as price starts breaking your levels, especially on a 4-hour, gives you plenty of time, right? Like you can go back and do it as quickly as Les just did. You can do that you get a 4-hour close below price and you say, fuck, okay, maybe you enter the trade. You say, hey, I like it. I go short. Now, where's my target? That's not always the smartest move, but again, you can do that though, right? You can,
right.
There's no reason you can't find these levels ahead of time though. It's just, and we have zones down here too, the regular white zones. So that's why you don't see us always grabbing these lower ones, because I'm already expecting it to move into the white zones, which is a different type of, I don't want to confuse this topic, but yeah,
the regular zones are based off, way back previous price action. And the thing is, keep in mind is, I didn't point this out, is that these are new lows for the year, right?
Yeah.
So this is all of new data. That's why we're going back. So say we start getting above 3,800, right? And you're looking for, if we get above 3,800 and start squeezing, pushing up above it, when you're looking for demands, you don't have to look back very far. Look, we're right here. So whereas with this 3,500 level, we got to go all the way back to freaking.
You're going back 2 years,
right?
We're going back. Years.
Yes. So
now
look at this.
Right. So I look below. Look where the next one is, and then look where the one underneath it is. Right. So I can already see that you got 2 more levels underneath there. Right. You got the one just to the right of where your cursor is.
What are you talking about here?
Not that one. It's to the right because the price is actually lower. Yeah, that one. So if you see how the closing price of that is that lower, I think it's technically lower, right? Maybe it's the same actually. So you know what? Then what that would make, dude, is actually that's your whole demand. But the thing is, and then the next one is the farthest to the left bearish candle that you're seeing right now.
But I'm trying to find a demand that interacts with this with this, right?
There may not be one, right? That's the thing. I mean, you wick through it. Is that the bottom of the wick or is that the body?
This white line is the bottom of the body.
All right, so snap a line on the demand that we were just talking about that's above where you're at right now. Right, see where that lines up. Even if it was the other one before, it doesn't really matter.
I think it was, and I just removed it.
Yeah, so we did go underneath. Okay, so no, you were on the body, yeah. So here's the thing, that was CPI. And look, the reality is you don't ever know where, how did you say this? We don't know which, even if you had all these 4-hour demands, right? It's like, okay, which one is it going to stop at? We don't know, right? That's why your target should be one of the first ones that you come into. You should be taking off your initial risk plus a little bit of profit, right? So if you buy 20 contracts, you should be unloading at least 10 of them, if not 12, in my opinion, as you approach that first main demand area, right? You leave on runners if it continues through, but you don't know, like there's no way for us to know which demand it's going to bounce at. And actually that's why we got faked out on CPI day. that CPI sucked, dude, because we were closing below the levels. And I know I already had all this. I mean, I know I still have it on the fucking charts. And we got, and we were trying to continue to go short because it just looked like we were going to keep selling off. There was no, there's no clear indication. We did have a regular zone there, by the way, from 35.10 down to 35.05. So we did close inside of that, right? We closed inside of that at fucking, at 1 p.m. basically, but man, it was fucking annoying. Anyways,
I'll just pull it up here quickly.
I'm sorry, we closed at 9 a.m. We closed inside that zone, but then we opened and we started breaking lower, right?
So we fucking can you see my screen, Alex?
Yeah.
I put it up. So yeah, no, exactly. This is a zone Alex. This is a zone Alex created, 35.10 spot 8 to 35.05. Boom, we closed inside it perfectly.
But we started to break underneath it. So you look at the hourly close and you say, okay, we don't know either way. We should have known as soon as it started to push back up. But I mean, that happened, obviously, anybody that traded that day know that it chopped around in the beginning and then it fucking took off fast, and it was one of those things that it's just a shit show. The volatility will you can't ignore we're still in a very volatile market, but this does give us, the idea of these zones are just that it gives you initial targets, right? It doesn't mean that you're always going to get it right, but the thing is that if you look at where you take shorts and longs, if you need to have targets, and it's not a lot of times you're going to take profits initially, you're not always going to top ticket, right? When you're going long, you're not always going to sell at the top tick, but the thing is that's okay. We want to take off risk at the most probable area, which that's perfect right there what you just showed right there. Look where that rock, look where we moved up to.
So right here, this supply, you could say this is supply too. It doesn't interact with it.
It is supply though. Again, but that's not. Yeah. But moving up from the bottom of CPI, that's the main supply right there. Yeah.
So this is formed here. This candle isn't supply because it's rejecting from this one, and then you see right here. Look what we do. We wick up, and then we touch that supply made on the 10th, and that's what drops us down right on the hourly.
Yeah.
Boom. We invalidate all this shit. Oh, this is demand. Yeah, we invalidate all this. It's gone. Well, I'll just finish off this play.
Can you explain to me how you use the 5 minute, 2 minute with it?
Within this, yeah, we could do it right now. So, we're looking at these closes. We look at the hourly closes. We're looking, we go back on the hourly, look for the 5 minute, the hourly supply. I locate them here. Boom, boom. Now we're intraday. We're trading.
Yeah, maybe go to after CPI. Well, use those. No, use CPI, I guess, because those supply zones will disappear after price closes above. Obviously, you got to go back to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go way back to the left. There you go. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. So there was created here. We oops, I fucked it up. Sorry. This is why you lock them in place.
Well, if you hit the back button, it'll always reverse that for you. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so we know that supply zone, the one that was closest to us, it was right here, right? So I'm watching this on a 5 minute throughout the day.
I mean, there's clear signals there to go short.
Oh man,
so many fucking chances, dude. And we hit them.
It just like, oh yeah, I see. This is what we made a video on, literally this 5 minute supply. We made a video on this. 1 second. It's in our Discord.
Yeah, and we're actually going to make it public here soon too.
This video
it'll be basically out. Yeah.
I thought it was a snapshot of it, but anyways, yeah, we made a video on literally this 5 minute supply that's within this hourly supply. So we see here within this hourly supply, we've got a 5 minute. So you're asking how we would go about trading this hourly supply intraday with the 5 minute, right, Dale? That was your question.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So we see, you know, we're in the supply. We came down off of this is where it was built, formed. We have a 5 minute supply. We drop down, wick back up, reject. Then we push up, and then we reject down from the supply again. But anyways, fast forward, we could, you know, go into what we see in here too. But you know, we could, you know, we'll just skip that. We'll go to the main point. So you see that 5 minute supply is still intact. So we push back into it, and we actually reject that 5 minute supply within the 1 hour. So check this out. In looking at this move, you see it's a rejection of you know, it's the test of the 5 minute supply we break down, right? Now look on the hourly. On the hourly, it looks like a test of the 1 hour supply. We come out, test the 1 hour supply, we reject down.
No, I think that was the one before that though, right?
Nope, right here. Oh, yeah, it is.
I think it's
right.
that one.
They go back on the 5 minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, so even if you missed the 5 minute entry, you know that you're breaking below the hourly supply as well, right? So you actually, it gives you confidence to take that second entry when it retests that blue line. So even if you miss that quick test and rejection off of the 5 minute, that like I mean, I already know it exists, but keep scrolling in. You keep zooming in on that. Yeah. So even if you missed it off the 5 minute supply, right? Look where it goes. It drops down underneath and starts to base out underneath the blue line, right? Which is your hourly supply level, the bottom of the hourly zone. So you have multiple chances to enter there, and now you're taking it on an hourly time frame that looks nice and clean. So I mean, there's multiple. You even close the hourly, that 1 p.m. right there. Do you see how we close the 1 p.m. back under the hour? So the more confident move is to actually wait for that hourly close at 1 p.m. right? And I forget which candle it did it on, but I can see on your chart there, right? So now you know we closed underneath the hourly supply, right? We got an hourly close underneath it. Come up, we retest it on the 5 minute a couple times. You have multiple short entries there, and as long as you might take off your initial risk on one of these dips, but if you leave some runners, you now are able to catch that monster move to the south. Does that make sense? It's just, I mean, that was one. This is one of the cleanest setups, and we did well that week, obviously. So,
anyone that has any questions, or wants to point something out, feel free right now. This is a good setup to step in and ask a question.
Yeah, and definitely ask questions. I want to. It looks like there's one question inside the chat. I can read it here in a second. But the other thing, guys, is we'll probably cut this in about 20 minutes. So to keep it at 2 hours, but so definitely ask questions if you have them. He said, focusing where you are now, how do we look for when we're heading into chop versus the ramp up? So chop from September 22nd to 30th. Could we forecast that chop versus the October 3rd ramp up? I know you probably asked this question a little while ago, but so sorry, man, I missed it.
What was the date?
September. So he's talking about the chop from September 22nd to September 30th, compared to October 3rd, where we ramped up. So
September 22nd to the 30th.
To the 30th. So that chop there. Yeah. No, you're.
He's talking about this drop here from.
Well, he's saying, yeah. Can you identify the chop there compared to just the run up? And you really.
In here.
Yeah, there's no real clean answer on that. The only thing that you can do is to zoom out on the bigger time frames. What tends to work for that is, if you get out on the daily, and look for daily supply and daily demand, right? That sometimes can give you a hand. So we knew that we had, let me see where this lines up, but we knew we had daily support at 36.76.4. So where does that line up going back?
Alex, do you want to share your screen for this part?
Yeah, let's do it real quick. Yeah, perfect. All right, so what I'm looking at here, I'm looking on a daily chart. So we're talking about the 22nd. So this chop from here to the 28th, which is basically, or to the 30th, sorry. So here to here, right? So we had 3 trading days, and then this is the big ramp up. So there's a couple things, right? You know that you have hourly support or daily support here, right? Bottom of this bearish candle, you know, before as price was falling, right? You know that you have this level here, and we actually found some smaller time frame levels inside of that. But the thing I want to do is to come back. I want to look. So I look to the left, right, and I say, okay, I look back here. And I say, look, what's down here, right? Are there anything down here? So I see a couple levels here. So I would say that this is one. Okay, that'd be a daily zone. Oops, what am I doing? So I'd say there's a daily demand. Okay, and the reason I know that is if I look where this wick goes down to, the bottom of this wick, if I look left, it's not inside the body of this candle here, right? Or this guy. So when I look for the next demand, it's the same thing. I'm going to stack to the left and I say, okay, here's the body of this candle. But again, this wick goes down through inside the body of this candle. And let me blow this up for you guys now that I know that it's here. So again, what I'm looking at here, this is the demand that I know exists. Okay. And I'm looking at how far the wick goes down. I look to the left and it's almost at the body of this guy, right? But it's not quite. So I look at that and then I say, okay, well, what is this one? Is this demand? Well, no, because this wick's down through this candle here. Now the next bearish candle would be down here, right? And when I look to the left, I can see it's obviously inside this guy, which wicks down inside here. So I know that it's not this, right? So that tells me that it's this candle here. And again, this just takes practice, guys. Something that comes more intuitively, I guess you could say, as time goes on. So now let's just say for the shits and giggles, we'll go a little bit lower, right? For daily. I see this candle, the body of this candle, but if I look to the left, I know that it's inside the body of this, right? Well, is this the demand? You know, I'd probably snap a line there just because these are daily levels. But when I look at this, I see where this wicks down to. As tiny as this little fucker is. Shit. I think my son's waking up too, but let me just finish this and then I'm gonna go put him back to sleep. I don't know. Let's see if yeah, fuck, he's waking up. All right, anyways, you see where I got those levels? Does that help with what we're doing here? Kind of, right? Kind of. We're gonna get rid of this. So now you guys see the daily demands, right? We have one here, we have one here. And then we have this level here, we could say, which obviously we did kind of base out on top of. So it does matter, but really this is going to be my key area. It's not, you can't really determine chop, but you could say, look, I know that when we base here, we're in this demand. Look what we did, right? We wicked up and down, but we closed inside of it and then we shot up. So I don't know if you want to share your screen, bro. I'm going to go put him back to sleep. He's wide awake. Asher, come here. Come here, buddy.
Yeah, I'll show my screen. I'm not sure if he answered your question about the daily levels. Yeah, Rainy Horse, did that answer your question? Okay. Yeah, when he gets back, I'm sure he'll finish up. But yeah, let's continue on. I want to, or what do you guys want to see? Is there any specific tickers or time frames you guys want to look at? We can move on to something different. Just let me know.
Hey, Sigma.
Hey.
Yeah, like, do you chart the like options contracts like Alex does or no?
Yeah, so I just started doing that. I'm not. I'm not super experienced charting the option contracts. I've just basically been watching. I've been trying to get. I have this. I'll show you. I have the on my Thinkorswim. I have this tool, this study in my active trader, where it kind of gives me. So it's not really it kind of gives you supply and demand levels, but the thing is it's basing off the wicks, but it just kind of gives you like a general sense of where at least the highs and the lows are, right? So like I would look at this, you know, as a 5 minute as I'm on a 5 minute, as a 5 minute supply, right? Even though it's going off the wick. So I just kind of it gives you the idea of where they are. But what I do have now is I have a standard deviation on here. So I'll look at this. I'm gonna start using this with the premium as well as the charts with like the ES and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But as far as like creating supply and demand zones, like I haven't done it a whole lot. Just I can kind of look at it too. Like I'll give you an example right now.
Yeah, I think traders was making it seem like it was kind of the same as like the regular, you know, market as far as like the supply and demand. I just
it's the same. You do the exact same thing. Exactly.
same principle. Yeah, gotcha.
Exact same thing. Yeah. I have two big monitors coming right now. I trade on two monitors. It's I have a Mac the newest MacBook Pro with the M. What Ultra is it? It's the not the M1 Ultra, but the one right below it. It's the M1 Max, and then I have like I guess probably 40-something inch monitor. But I have two other big monitors I'm gonna get stacked coming, and I'm going to do so. Basically, what I'm getting at is my charting monitor is super for my premium is super small right now. But once I do get the other monitor set, I'm gonna have one monitor just for my active trader and premium chart. So I'll be doing more of this for sure. But yeah, so this is the ES. I can just pull up like a SPX contract or something.
What's that tool that created those red and green lines?
Yeah, so it's actually in the Discord. Phil posted it the other day. So if you go to studies, I named it Big Knob Pivot. And the reason I named it that is just because the person who uploaded it to this site that we got the script from, his name was Big Knob, so I just use his name to name it. It is, if you go, where's the TOS indicator? Scroll out. Standard deviation. That's the standard deviation one. This one. And
yeah, that standard deviation looks very interesting. And by the way,
sweet, right?
Monitor setup. That's what I need to do too.
Yeah, I'll show you. It's freaking sweet. Thanks. Where is it? But yeah, I could probably just put whoever's not in the Discord. I can just put the link to that in the Zoom chat once I grab it. Where the hell is it? There it is, pivot study. So right here, it's this one. So when you see, so if you see any links like this, whoever was asking about the pivot study, pull up. And if you're on your computer right now, open up your TOS. I'll post this in the Zoom. You literally just copy this exactly. If you see any link that starts with, the TOS, but it obviously has the HTTPS in front of it, but it has the TOS, you grab it and you copy it. So copy, and then you come in here and you go into setup, and then you go open shared item, and then in here, I think it's command. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what's the keys for paste.
Command B.
V.
Yeah, B Victor.
Yeah, there you go. So command V, preview, and then you do you rename it. So I rename my like the pivot, big bell pivot. So pretend I imported it, boom, it's imported, and then it'll be in here. Then you go to your studies, and you just type in whatever you named it. Boom, you go apply, okay, and then I'll be right here. Literally that simple. So here I'll post that in the Zoom chat for whoever's not in the Discord right now. So just copy and paste this. There you go.
Thank you.
No problem.
How long would you say it took you, Les, to identify these supply and demand zones after you first got turned on to the whole system?
Well, I'm still learning every day, but I'd say when I first started, I was trading every day with Alex, so that gave me a huge advantage. I would say after about between 2 to 4 months, I was pretty, even then, like I'm still asking a lot of questions, and then what made the big difference was at first I was just like looking at the zones, but once I started going and like adding them in, and then like adding them in and be like, hey, what are you, am I doing this correct? Like going and just like playing around, like coming in the after hours and looking at, and you're gonna put it in a lot of like zones that aren't freaking there at first. You're just trying to figure it out. Like I'd be like, okay, this looks like a supply because we sell off right here, that must be supply, but really, okay, is what's back here. Are we inside of another one? And then now I know to test it to see what it's coming out of. And I see this one is actually, and this one's actually inside of that one.
Yeah, Les?
Yeah.
I couldn't watch that. I was just listening. On the 5 minute, 2 minute thing, Jim, are the 5 minute and 2 minute actually touching the same the hourly demand support? Is that what you're looking at?
We're talking about right here, or that last setup we were going over?
The last setup.
So was the hourly and the 5 minute doing what?
When you're using the 5 minute, 2 minute, you say it's within the hour. Are they using the same level?
The same level. No, I think the 5 minute, and that's like I think we were talking about. Were we talking about this right here, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we were talking about there was or no, it was this right here.
The 5 minutes confirming your hourly.
The 5 minute is confirming the hourly. What do you mean? No, I don't. What do you mean by that?
Okay, when you're trading, you're watching your hourly and your 4 hourly, but you're trading on the 5 minutes. So are you waiting for a 5 minute that confirms the same spot?
Like for example, these I'm on a 5 minute candles now, right? We know that hourly supply is here,
Right.
and so we're on a 5 minute, and we see that 5 minute rejects the hourly, right?
Okay.
So the 5 minute is still like it's still respecting it on that. It's still, regardless of the time frame, if the zone is valid, it's respecting it regardless of the time frame. It's going to respect on the 1 minute, the hourly, the 30 minute, the 5 minute. Looking at 30 minute, it's the same thing.
But you're seeing the same zone.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. I'm just watching it. I'm watching it on the 5 minute because that's what I trade on. The 5 minute and the 1 minute is what I scalp on. But I have another layout where like I do leave it on hourly for the most part, or I flip to the hourly and watch where the closes are. But I'm gauging, the hourly. I'm reading the 5 minute candles like for example, right here, we're at 10:30. We come around to like, 11 o'clock. I flip to that 11 a.m. I flipped to the hourly again to see where I flipped to the hourly for every close to see where we're closing. And
But you're watching the same zone.
pardon me, yeah, but I'm still watching that same zone, yeah. And then I'm also creating 5-minute zones as we go along.
I follow you. But the ideal 5 minutes is in the same zone as the hour.
Ideal 5-minute isn't the same. Oh, I see what you're getting at. Like, so for this 5-minute.
Yep.
Like you see what I see what you get. You're like, okay, this 5-minute supply is in this hourly supply.
Right.
So is it like holding more weight because does this 5-minute supply hold more weight now that it's within another supply? Good, good question. Let me just think about that. So this 1 hour represents an hour of price action, right? So if we know that the resistance of the supply is right here, I would say, I mean, just looking at it from like a technical standpoint, and Alex will probably give you a more in-depth answer. You see this 5-minute supply?
Yeah.
If I was watching that on a 5-minute, I would say yes, because it's layering on top with it's like the supply the resistance of the 5-minute is the same as the resistance as the hour.
To
So
me, it's
looking
better
at
price.
that is what if having the what's the better play?
Having the hour and the 5-minute in the same zone.
In the same zone, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I look at it. I don't think I look at it like that, and the reason for it is because we can push through this 5-minute supply and still want to come up and test the hourly supply, right? Like I don't know
Exactly.
if we let's just keep going over here. So we still have this. We still have this 5-minute supply here. We tag it, and then we come back up. You see how we wick up here?
Yep.
Reject the hourly supply. Then over here we put wick up, reject the hourly supply.
So those
push up.
Those
Once we push up, it doesn't give a fuck about that 5-minute, right? It just goes right through it.
What I'm seeing here is this is your best place.
Within the hourly zone?
Yeah, because the 5 minutes is doing the same thing, bouncing back on the same line. So you're being told that it's holding.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, if you were just to find that 5-minute, oops, not here, that 5-minute by itself, and it wasn't in an hourly supply,
right?
Yeah, good question. That makes sense to me if it's lining up, but looking at it, hey, yeah, Dale has a question. You see how we have this 5-minute supply within the hourly supply?
Mm-hmm.
Does that give you more does that give you more confirmation, a stronger belief in the 5-minute supply doing its job because it's in a 1 hour supply? And I mean, looking at it here,
yeah,
we see how we come up to the 1 hour supply, reject, do it again, reject, and then it just pushes through the 5-minute, but it still wants to come up to that hourly supply. And I'm on a 5-minute time frame right now.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, the thing is, I still treat I know that the 5 minutes can get broken within the 1 hour. So, but yeah, I mean, it tells me the confidence comes from the fact that I know that is a supply zone on the higher time frame. So it's more likely to be. It's like. So yeah, there is higher confidence, but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna jump the gun on a 5-minute, right? So like, I still want to see those 5-minute closes, right? And I want to see the supply zones act, I want to know where all the supply zones are, right? Or just play. But when it's inside of an hourly, then I know that, hey, I'm at the top of a range, right? Within that larger time frame. So yeah, it definitely gives me more confidence. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense in that set, hopefully in that way, but it's not.
What I'm saying here is if you want to make it, I'm trying to cut my trades. I want to do 3 or 4 real good trades. These are what's waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Right. Yeah, absolutely, Dale. And that's the thing, right? It is at the top of the, you know that you have a range, you have a supply, which basically means the top of the range on an hourly. And now you're seeing it on the 5-minute play out.
Right on, yeah.
Definitely more confidence. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's where, like to the right of Les's screen right now, that where we went up and tested it, we tested the 5-minute, we got the close underneath, right? But it was the first time we tested that 5-minute. So maybe, and look at what time that was, right? That was, when did that happen?
This right
That
here?
happened.
This
Yeah.
test?
What was the time on that? Yeah, it was 12:45, right? So maybe
Yeah.
in that sense, you say, okay, I didn't catch that 5-minute, right? But now you have an hourly close coming up, right? So look at where the 1 p.m. closes. Or look at where look at where 1 p.m. is, right? Boom. Look at that candle. Look where it closed underneath that hourly supply. So that
But,
right
so
there,
me,
that
for me, I'd
tells
rather do-
me, but does that make sense? Like that tells me now I got the rejection off the 5-minute. Maybe I didn't catch it off of that, right? Because that happened pretty quick. But now I got the hourly close underneath the hourly supply as well. So I am for sure shorting the fuck out of that until it goes against me, right? My stop would be above that 5-minute supply.
Exactly. So what I'm
Does that
saying here
mean-
is I'd rather do 2 or 3 of these a day. Forget about doing 10 trades, just do two or three of these.
Yeah, even 2 or 3 a week. Like if you hit 3 trades and you're waiting and they all hit and you make 50% on each one, 50 to
Yeah.
100%. I
Yep.
mean, fuck, you don't need more than that.
No,
It's especially if you're not taking losses because you're not taking a bunch of lower probability setups.
You know what? This is something that just caught my eye. Why I wasn't doing this, and it makes so much sense.
yeah, and you know what, Dale, especially once we have a range established, right? Which going to where we're going to open up on Monday, like we have that range established, right? We have that 3,800. Obviously, the lower end of the range is a ways down, but with the volatility we're seeing, those moves made in 2 days. So I mean, definitely waiting for the range, and even if it's for the range to break, if we, like we were talking about, if we get, an hourly close, and especially a 4-hour close, candle close over that 3,800, what was that, 3,805 or something like that was the number, then we know, like, okay, now we have confidence that we're going to head farther north, and we can go long off that. But like, I have no interest in going long where we're at right now, per se.
No,
Maybe a scalp, but again, why scalp it, right? If you can just wait and get the signal. So
Yeah, I'll sit here all day and watch for this because I like this.
yeah, no, it's perfect, man. It's a good point, because especially for people that are newer or, want to trade with more size, especially as you become more confident. I mean, we take a lot of trades, but I don't mind scalping in and out, and but it is over trading in a sense, right? Because you could sit here and just pick off these positions. Now, the only thing I will say to that is that this was beautiful price action. There are times where this shit moves against us. So you just got to know that, okay, maybe once in a while, you're going to, it's never going to be perfect, right? It's easy to go back and find these examples. And I mean, look, it's
better probability.
Yeah, exactly. And this, I mean, I gotta be honest, I've looked at, not every strategy, obviously, there's too many of them, but the major strategies that I've looked at, are literally, like, I haven't seen anything that performs the way this does, which is why we try to teach people it. It's literally like, look, and I mean, if you can learn to trade this on your own, it's, there's real pride in that, or I don't even want to say pride, but there's real satisfaction. And it's not, you're not just taking a call out from us. You're literally seeing it. You're pulling the trigger yourself. You're able to do that. That's fucking phenomenal, right? Because you can make money with a strategy. It's just, it is patience, and it's understanding where these levels are at. Give yourself some time to be able to find them and build them. And the trades will come to you. And it's just, it's just a really solid,
That's
way
the way I
way
like
to
it.
trade.
Like it to me.
Yep, absolutely. I saw a couple questions just pop up. Do you live trade ES? Sorry, I don't know if you guys answered these or not yet.
Hey, can I just jump in here real quick while we're
Yeah, for sure.
with this 1 p.m.-ish area that we're staring at right now? So that's the second attempt to bump into there, but over 2 days. So what I was wondering is if that area had been targeted to look for, breakthrough to maybe go call or long, or if earlier in the day, you had targeted this area, like, okay, I'm going to watch this, because if it rejects from there again, then I'm really, looking for a put. So my question is, once this got into this area, would you then refer back on your 4-hour chart so you could quickly go back to the left and confirm, yep, there's that spot where it rejected yesterday, I think, basically. And
Yeah.
and you could be more confident. And Brandon said less trades, more, less trades is better. I just wanted to say that's correct as far as I'm concerned, Brandon. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, let me have you answer that.
Yeah, no. So as far as needing to look back to the left, that's why that's where these levels would be in here already. So we already had the hourly supply, right, and the 5-minute supply when it was formed, right? So that's why we don't even have to look back. We literally can,
You share your screen?
yeah, I don't have it up. He was asking about yours though, but either way, it doesn't matter.
okay.
We have the, I mean, I can pull it up.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So
Yeah, we already
you've got
have
the
that.
level, you've got the supply level identified, then don't worry about why you identified it. You've already done it. So boom, there you go.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and we already know, see, that's the thing. Yeah. So once I already know, because I have that hourly supply there, I already know that there's like what that represents, you know what I mean? And why, and now granted, you can hop on the hourly chart and look back real quick and say, hey, that's right, we rejected it yesterday. Now, granted, we trade the markets every day. So like I'm already watching that level. But I mean, even if you didn't catch it when it happened the first time, you could easily scroll back to the left for sure. That's definitely possible. Where were we at? We were right here, right?
Yeah, I'm just always interested in the double top, phenomenon, psychological, whatever. We were that was on Les's chart. We were playing around with the, like, Dale's question. Yeah, maybe
It was
right.
right in here though, right?
I think.
Oh yeah,
That's that whole supply
I think it was right here.
area, I believe, is, yeah. So here's your
Yeah. I think this
that's
is it though, right? No, it's not this though. You're right. Well, anyways, yeah. At bottom line though, you know what I'm saying though, right? That's current price. I know that's still in the range though we were trading. The thing is, the bottom line is that is like when we create, like, even this, we can just use this example like as another example. I know that once price moves south here, I know that this is going to be hourly supply, right? These two lines I know make it up. So whether you label them or you put a box, right? However you want to do it, I know now. So when I'm on a 5-minute and I start looking back on this, right? Let's go back to where it was formed. Right here. Yeah. So let's just say, right, I'm watching this. I know that on a 5-minute, even though, like, I see how prices moved up through right now, there are going to be some 5-minute levels up inside of this. But let's just say I'm watching this on a 5-minute. I know this is a different level, but I know that I have this out, like, I'm on a 5-minute, but I know that this is an hourly supply, right? So even though we start pushing up through this, okay, and I'm like, okay, on a 5-minute, I can say, okay, it's 10:15 Eastern time, right? I want to see where, and where did we close the last hour, right? We didn't quite touch it. So previous to that, so we come up, it's not surprising. I don't maybe take the short here, but what I wait for is it to come back down, right? And we close, let's see, right? We close underneath, right? So we come all the way back down and close it here. Now, I don't get the clean retest of that, but I know that we've pushed up through and closed underneath. So as we push up here, you'll see us enter puts like in these, in these levels, because I know that on an hourly, it looks like this, right? Like, I know that it looks like this shit. I know that we push way up and down. So on this, once we close the hour here on a 5-minute, I can see it push up like this. A lot of times I'll rather would wait for this here, but I just know, I guess this isn't as clean as the other examples, but the bottom line is that I know on a 5-minute what I'm looking at here as an hourly supply. So that's that's the whole point of these, right? Or I guess the trick behind them is that once you have them labeled and you know that this is, exactly what these levels mean, right? I know that they're off the body of the candle. On the 5 minute, now I can sit and wait for a 5 minute close. I can wait for that hour, I can see when is the 5 minute close though? When does that close the hourly candle, right? So now I can come back here and I can say, okay, where 1040, 1055, right? So at the close of this candle, if I know we're closing back underneath this, the set 3703 spot 1, then I know that we have come up and tested it and we've closed the hour underneath. So I can actually visualize what that looks like on the chart. So, I don't know if that answers your question. Hopefully it does. As far, and you can always jump back, right? You can go to the 4 hour, let's just talk about like current price, like what we're looking for here. The bottom line is that, coming into tomorrow, right? What I want to see, well, tomorrow we open futures, right? I'm going to watch and see what futures do. I want to see if we test this 4 hour zone, and I want to see where the 4 hour closes are. And then as we get into Monday morning, what I want to see is where we are in relation to these hourly, right? I want to see what we did with the 4 hour. Because if we keep testing this and closing 4 hours underneath, and then we get all the way to Monday morning, right? And I see that we're still closing, we're closing 4 hours underneath this yellow line here, which is the 4 hours, this is the bottom of the 4 hour zone. Then it tells me that even though price may push a little bit north, like I'm still expecting a sell-off, right? That's what, now, granted, you want to let that first hour play out and then work within these hourly zones so that you can focus it down. But I already know, because I have this on the chart, that, I'm watching where these 4 hour closes. And just keep in mind that on the SPX 500 USD, on the futures, those closes come at 1 p.m. So, you get it at 9 p.m. and then 1 p.m. Eastern time instead of 8 and 12, which it's just, it's an hour off of the equities. So a lot of times you'll hear a skip to SPY, at noon, just to see where the 4 hour close was, to see how that acted, within it. So I don't know, does that answer your question? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that does. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, man. No, for sure. And somebody asked, so the Discord isn't free, just so everyone's aware of that. Not trying to, that's why we open these up to people. It is $75 a month. It's not as much about the money as it is about having, a value for time type of thing. We put a lot of time in here. We want to be accountable. There are times where we don't want to do these classes. So it's beneficial, on that end. It also allows us to put some things into the Discord, some services that we wouldn't normally do. The other thing is, it allows people, it really keeps the Discord inside focused on people who want to learn it, right? It's, that's so just to answer that question, somebody said that the links are in, they're on, they're posted in our bios on Twitter. I'm happy to DM you it. If you're interested, I don't know, Les, what did you post in the chat? The TOS? Is that one of the?
Yeah, somebody was asking about the about if I chart premium, and I just showed them the active trader pivot study tool that I had.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. I just want to make sure I'm answering these things. If we're missing anything, I think we're good, right? We talked.
Trader.
Yeah.
What's going on, brother? I didn't get to catch all the video tonight. I had my son. I just got on here like 15 minutes ago. I was wondering, I seen Joseph posted something on Twitter about Caterpillar, and it's about pushing up. So I went back. I was wondering, can you confirm that be an hour zone on September 13th at 8?
Yeah,
for Caterpillar.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been trying to zone out, so I'm, I've been working a lot, and I had a little bit of time today, and I saw that, so I was just trying to see if that would you consider that to be a supply zone?
Yeah, so a couple of things come in. Let's just take a look here. We have,
I think it was December 13th at 8.
December 13th.
I'm sorry. September.
Oh, September. Yeah. So, well, you're looking
8
at the
o'clock,
hourly,
8:30.
right? So
Yes. Yeah.
Let's look at the hourly.
I just seen him post something on there, so I try to go in there and chart, because like I said, like I just try to find my own ways to, different ways
for sure.
to look at it.
No, cat's a great one to trade. So you actually had an hourly supply here. Okay. And so we actually broke above that. So you see how we got the hourly close above?
Yeah.
So what
What
I would be
time-
watching, and it's
what
funny,
time-
man, I've had this zone here, you know, this is one zone, but I mean, I've had this here for a while going back. I mean, from back here, I'm sure. So it's
What time
interesting
frame
to
is
see
that?
us. Well, this is an hourly chart. The white zone, I get off the 4 hours, but it doesn't
mean the
matter. I'm
date.
just,
What date
The
was
what?
that what date was that zone you pointed out right there? What date
yeah,
is that?
so that's off. Oh, hold on. It's covering it. The what's that? September 27 or September 13th.
Yeah.
So that's your hourly supply that we
Yeah.
finally got an hourly close above. And I mean, look, you can see how we, like, even I'll just delete these white lines because it doesn't even matter now, but you can see how we acted inside of this, right? We pushed up, touched it underneath, and we got this push up inside. And then look what happens when we try to actually break above, right? You get this doji candle, right? You get this little bullish doji candle indecisiveness on the hourly close inside, but then you do close, the day. We got that last push up through it. So, I mean, to me, that looks clean. Now, the next supply on the hourly, right? So if this is our current supply, move that out of the way, right? That we just broke above, we come back, we're looking at the next consecutive candle above price that's bullish. And
But
that's this guy right here.
that candle right there that you just went up there, that's the one I had the zone on. So
Yeah, so that is right. So that's going to be, so here's what I would do if I was trading this on Monday, right?
Right.
I'd look for, I'd want to make sure we're looking bullish. Obviously, we don't like gap down underneath, but I want to see us open up above this 189.50, and I'd really like to see a retest of that. So maybe 190, we get retested. But preferably I'd like to see it as close to that 189.50 as possible. And what we might also see is price pull all the way back down to like 188. Find support, because a lot of times once you get these supplies, get blown through, you'll get that retest, and it can dip all the way down inside. It can go all the way to the, it can retest all the way back down through to the bottom. The thing that would invalidate that is if you got an hourly close back below it, right? So if you got an hourly close back below 187.51, that would tell me that this was just a fake out on the crazy push that we saw Friday, right? Now, but what I'd like to see here anyways, what I would take a chance with is a pullback to like, 189.50, maybe a little bit lower. And then my target would be up here. I'd probably start locking in profits at 193, right? But my target would be this hourly supply up here. So 193.53 up to 194.25, excuse me. So, and you can tell this is going to be supply up here, right? Like, this is going to be where sellers are at, because look where we peaked out and then we just dropped, right? Going back on, what was that, 20, what did we say that was, 13th?
yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, it just makes sense. It just makes sense when you look at this. But again, you want to know where these exact levels are, man, because you don't know you get the signal here until you saw this supply broken, right? So once you saw this we got the close above, that tells us that we broke through the supply. That gives me the green signal. I'm looking for a pullback, preferably. Now it is, cat could open and run, but what I would do is at that point, I'd set an alert like right here, right? I'm actually going to set an alert right here because I do like the trade, right? So I would set an alert right there. Let's say even if it gapped up to here, I wouldn't be chasing it up here per se. What I'd wait for, as long as it didn't break up through this one and keep flying, right? What I'd wait for is a lot of times you'll see it after a day or two, it'll still come back down and retest this thing, right? And you get that retest and then it'll move up. So it's worth having that patience just to wait. I mean, I'm not saying you can't catch an intraday move. I mean, there's a couple of dollars here to be made, but the best entry is right back here, 189, 189.50. Somewhere in this range, right? Catch the bounce and then play that fucker right up to 194, right? So now you have, let's say you caught it from 189, let's just say 190 to 194, right? That's a $4 move. Now you got a nice trade. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
man, for sure. I'll throw this in the Discord for you.
Joseph on Twitter posted something about it. He said something about like a $10 move on it. So I had some time. Let me go back and see if I can chart an hourly on it, and that's what I came up with. So thank you.
Yeah, man. And Cat's a good one. Well, I think he was talking about this, that it had a $10 move.
I don't know when he posted it. Honestly, I go on Twitter and I see little stuff like this, and I'll go chart it myself and see if it comes up right. Just try to do my own little work.
So that was Friday. Just FYI, we got a $10.68 moves. Almost 11-point move, man, on that. So But again, Cat will have these big moves when the market rallies. So I mean, keep an eye out, just know. And look, it kind of makes sense, right? We have that supply on SPX coming up above, right? At 3,800. I bet that if we move to 3,800, Cat will be right up here near this 194. You know what I mean? Because these things tend to play, they kind of play in together, right? Because everything's moving in sync. Like there's no more, I forget who was saying it, man. Another trader was talking about how we don't have the, you don't see like the differences anymore. Like everything's just moving with the market, right? It's all just either we're rallying or we're falling off. The volatility is so high that it's screwing us up. And having the bond market crashing like it is just, doesn't look good at all. I mean, TLT, that's something I want to point out too. TLT, if TLT starts to move, sorry, hold on a second. If TLT starts to base out like it looks like it wants to, just keep in mind, this is a theory. This is not guaranteed, of course. If we start to move to the north on, if this bottoms out for bonds, if TLT starts to move up to the north, right? We want to see, we may see money move out of equities some more to pile into, into the bond market, right? So just, it's not guaranteed. People have differing opinions on this, but I do think it's something to watch for, because listen, TLT is going to be a trade real soon. Like this is going to be a trade possibly of a lifetime. Well, not a lifetime, because we had this shit back before 2020. But even this move was ridiculous. Boom, huge move on this. Like there's money to be made inside TLT. It's just this sell-off has been ridiculous, right? So yeah, buddy.
I often watch Cat just to see what's happening in the world. If Cat's doing good, the world's doing good.
The what?
If Cat's doing good, the world's doing good. Cat's
Yeah.
all over the world.
Well, that's what I was going to say about the trades, right? Because I'm kind of new to it. Is that just like the algorithm to it? Like if the SPX go up and SPY goes up and the Q goes up, then Tesla's going up and the market goes up, and is that the algorithm?
Well, so yeah, the big names make up the majority of the indices, right? So that's one factor. So like, Apple's like, I don't know, Apple and Microsoft make up like 15% or something like that of the NASDAQ, or I forget what it is. You got to look at the breakdown, what it is currently. But but I mean, these big names make up, they move the market. But the other thing is that because the volatility is so high, what we're seeing is just everything moving in confluence, right? Or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's not like perfect correlations across the board, but the thing is, when when SPX rallies, like it just seems like everything rallies, because I think it's the tension. It's because VIX is, so high. It's been high so long. We have all the uncertainty with the Fed, with the bond market, just everything, right? That what you see is that it's almost like, okay, everybody's just waiting for a signal. So like one starts to do well, or a couple, one sector starts to do well, and everybody kind of piles in their money there because they don't trust it anywhere else. And a lot of money is coming in and out. Short-term expirations or short-term expiry contracts, have been like the volume, right, ratios are exploding, like more than we've ever seen, right? So like the majority, like the amount of zero DT and weekly DT options expirations are exploding into levels that we've never seen in the past. Like they're always traded pretty frequently by a certain group, but now it's like people just want to be in and out, right? And the same with the weekly contracts, in and out of the equities. I mean, you just don't, so keep that in mind. That's not always going to be the way the market is, but it does seem to be, it is the way the market's moving lately. So I don't see that changing anytime like soon, but I mean, eventually you would think the market should should start to balance back out to its more normalness, I guess. Although I don't know, it's been, it's going on, 2.5, 3 years now of not normal. So and you could even argue it goes back to 2018. So
6 tech stocks.
What's that?
Well, this is a little bit older information, but yeah, sorry, this is actually a little bit too old, but I was going to say 6 tech stocks make up about half the value of the NASDAQ, but I think this is a little bit old. I'll try to find something a little bit newer. The one thing I was going to say about Caterpillar, just as a contrarian view, is given what's happening in the world's economies right now, I I would see. I wouldn't see a sustained move for Caterpillar right now, just
Yeah.
because I don't really think there's. I mean, just look at construction, just look at new home building, and I'll just leave it at that.
No, absolutely. And it lags. That's the other thing to keep in mind, right? This lags. That's what people are talking about. I've heard, a few, not just in Spaces, but a few other people, a couple groups that, write about some of the shit. And it's just, the thing is if you're looking, what was I listening to? Oh, even the all in one or whatever podcast it is there with Chamath and fucking, the four guys there. They were talking about it. I like listening to their episodes. What is it? All In or something like that. I think the podcast is All In. Yeah, the All In podcast. Anyways, the thing is they're talking about, if we just had 15 years plus of, of money that, you were crazy not to be, to be building capital basically, right? Using capital to your advantage. That situation is changing. We may see some of these companies, they may not drop, like Cat may not drop down to $80 again, right? Although it could, but the thing is, it may just stay stagnant, right? It may just be slowly trickling down, average out around 150 for the next 5 years. So you don't want to be taking major trade, major positions in this, but I do think there'll be trades. I mean, obviously, trading Cat in and out is not a bad ticker, and it does stay liquid. So for the most part, I'm sure there's contracts that aren't liquid, but you can tend to make trades on Cat and do well. So their earnings are coming up 27th. So, but yeah, well, listen, guys, let's before we end tonight, could you show the TradingView page subscriptions that are $3 a month you use for aftermarket pre-market data? Oh yeah, it's not $3 a month, but or maybe it is $3 a month. I don't know. I pay for the year. Yeah, so I'll show you guys that. And I mean, if you have another question, guys, feel free to ask. I do want to wrap it up, but I mean,
That was something that Les showed. Yeah. Okay. I think it's right in here. Yeah.
So
these are just add-ons. They're just add-ons. I thought. No.
Right. Yep. So like this is data. So I pay for a premium subscription for TradingView, right? And there's you can get different. Let's see up here, right?
Yeah, I have a pretty robust pro or something like that.
Yeah.
So here it is. Wait. Go back.
But right,
the
but the
top?
data, well, it shows it down here too, but this is the data. So this is totally different than the subscription, right? So my subscription here, right? And granted, just so you guys know, I pay, like, I get this, like it's normally $600. I paid, where is it down here? I pay, $287. Get it on Black Friday or do the deal if you don't have it. Even if you have to pay beforehand, you can buy multiple annual subscriptions on Black Friday so that you can stack it, right? So you can buy like every Black Friday, I buy 1 or 2 more years. Like right now, I think I'm up. So this year I have to buy, like I'll buy this Black Friday, or no, I have 1 more after this, I guess. But this Black Friday, I'll buy probably 1 or 2 more years just because it locks in that cheap price. But this is totally different though, guys. This is data. So if you just want the ES and the SPX, I would get, I would get the NASDAQ, the CME group, right? Which includes the E-mini. So you want the NASDAQ, the CME group, E-mini, and then I would get at least the New York Stock Exchange, right? And I always get the ARCA too. But again, I can't tell you exactly what the ARCA is for per se, but you definitely want the NYSE, the CME group, and the NASDAQ, in my opinion.
So just get the OTC. And by the way, anybody that does take advantage of the Black Market Friday TradingView deal, make sure you turn off renew, because I renewed and I didn't get the deal last year. So I've turned off my auto renewal now.
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. No, that's exactly it. And the thing is, let's say you have to renew it like the next week, right? And that Black Friday deal isn't coming up. If you turn off renew, a lot of times they'll send you that deal, right? So like I've been getting, so if you haven't gotten TradingView yet, what we tell people is that, Sorry, Sigma, you were just live on the mic, dude. But what you do is you get their trial, right? You sign up for the trial, and then after like a week, you you cancel the renewal, right? And you get to keep it for that full 30 days. But what they do is they immediately send you an offer. And the offer that I've had, and I've seen people have at least up to a year ago. I don't know anybody that's done it since then, but is the same deal as you get on Black Friday. So if you get the premium membership, it's like 60% off. If you have like the pro, which is the next one down, you get 50% off. And then I think their entry level, you get 40% off, right? So, I mean, you can literally lock that in. And then when Black Friday comes up this year, you buy another year at that 60% off, right? So now you're locked into where you'll always be able to buy another year on Black Friday. So it's just a really clean way of getting deals from these guys. And I think it's crazy not to. I mean, as much, I'd pay $600 for it, but at the same time, like I have no interest in paying, like I'd rather just pay. My total package is $431. And that includes all the data, that includes, my premium subscription, and that's just what it is, right? And the last one that I bought, well, this is kind of mixed, but this mixes it all together. But obviously I bought the data 30, I only have 30 days left on the data. So, but anyways, guys, hopefully that answers it.
I just wanted to say thank you again, as always, both to you and Les. And also I wanted to say, one of the things that drew me to this group is I'm always thinking about those Discord servers or any other groups that want 300 a month, 500 a month, 600, whatever. And I'm thinking, if you need that kind of money from me, you must not really be making that much trading, because that's a fair chunk of change if you multiply that times,
Times 12.
A very large number of users. And one of the things that drew me to you guys is I totally get the concept, like, hey, $75 $75 paywall. It just keeps the people who aren't that serious out. That's all it's about. So I just wanted to, state that fact.
No, I appreciate you saying that, because that is, that's the thing, man. I mean, it is about the money for the reasons that we just mentioned and that you just said, right? Because it does help. It helps just set the barriers, and it helps set the expectations. You guys wouldn't, if it was just totally free, there's times where my family comes up and I'm going to be like, hey, I'm not going to do a class, and I know myself well enough. So, it kind of guarantees people both ways without trying to like rape you from the bank account, because I agree. We put a ton of time into here, but it's not about the money. If we blow up, and honestly, I look at it this way: if we blow up and we end up with like 500 people in here, well, then we'll either lower the rates, right? Or we'll start hiring people and putting the money to use inside of the Discord, right? Because it's really not about, we make money from trading, and we do this live, we do it every day, obviously, right? We don't have any other jobs. And that's the thing, is it's like, I don't, and I think it's fair both ways. So I appreciate, it's nice to hear that from you guys, because obviously, it's always a sore subject. We're getting pretty good at just saying it is what it is, but at the same time, we want you guys to make sure that like people understand we're not, like we try, hopefully you guys feel like we're providing value. Obviously, we spend a lot of time on this. And the cool thing is you can see it working. And we have people in the chat now that have been, they're starting to really focus on the zones. And although nothing's perfect and this market is tough as fuck, like the last couple of weeks, I'm in another group of friends, guys trading with, 7-figure accounts. One guy lost like 40 grand last week, right? Because he was riding puts, and it just, all isn't, everything pointed in that direction. And guess what? Friday ripped the fucking face off, and it's just, so, don't feel bad if you guys are struggling in this market. It isn't the easiest market, but what the strategy does provide are some concrete guide stones and milestones like throughout the day that can really, that can help you structure and manage the trade appropriately. And that's how we manage our risk. And that's how we continue to stay, consistently profitable. So.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Hey, James, I tell them all the time, I say, I'm glad you guys don't up the price, man, because the value for the people that people like me, I've been working like crazy the past 3 weeks, but like the value you get from it is so good, and you can have hands-on people, and it's not like a scam. Like this is the first time I joined something like this, and that's the one thing I was worried about, being scammed. But when I was making money with them on Twitter, it's an easy buy. The Discord's an easy buy, and I appreciate this time and effort. Trust me. I tell them, I don't know what you guys get out of it, but what you give is 100% appreciated my way. So thank you, Trader. Thank you, Sig.
Yeah, you're welcome. And listen, what we get, there's satisfaction from like teaching people how to do this. And it's not, I mean, yeah, we give call outs and shit, but at the same time, like, if you can't learn how to take that trade, right, then they don't work, because we're in and out of shit too fast. So when you learn how to do this, that's satisfying. The other thing is that we teach this, and guess what? Now I'm focusing on all the key parts, right? The things that I want to share with someone else is now I'm focusing on that day in, day out. I was already, but I mean, the reality is, it's
But
just more.
it keeps you sharp. It keeps you
Yeah,
sharp because you're
exactly.
teaching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trust me,
And
I'm
it's
a
my
big Phil.
livelihood. So
I'm a big
I
Phil
want to be
Sigma, like,
sharp.
yeah, I'm trying to be feeling Sigma in like a year or two, brother. You're gonna be like, yo, Mills is next Sigma, and Phil, like, because I'm gonna catch up, brother. So I appreciate
Well,
that.
yeah, dude. And that's anybody, right? You guys you can take this at your own time, your own leisure, learn the zones, learn the strategy. And I mean, and look, there's the opportunities come up, and I agree. Less trades is more. So
Hi.
hold on, I'm just muting them. I don't know if they're trying to. People are getting hot mics, even less at a hot mic. So, all right, guys, listen, thank you very much. Don't feel free to
thank you,
DM
brother.
us. We'll do this again. We'll open up some of these, and I'll put the recording out, and some of the stuff. So, I mean, even if you can't afford or don't really want to join the Discord right away, we still try to like be active in the community, right? That's why we're on Spaces. So, anyways, still stay in communication, you guys. Hopefully we'll see you inside, and we'll do this again soon. So
Thank you, Trader. Have a good
Yeah,
night,
man.
brother.
You guys have a great night. Take care.
Have a good night, everybody.
Guys.
All right, thanks.
Take care, guys. Thanks.